Hello and welcome to Journey to the East. My name is Joshua Fay, and for the last 10 years, I've had a question that's been bouncing around in my head. Just what the hell was the name of that show? So this all started one day when my dad brought home a DVD box set of a Chinese TV show. This show had everything: action, had romance, heartbreak, and beautiful scenery. Well, my family and I loved this show. Brought us all closer together and gave us a great appreciation for foreign films and TV. Unfortunately, this was a borrowed DVD set, and we had to return it after we had finished watching it. We've never been able to find it again since. But at least once a year, my family discusses it, and we always come back to the same question. Just what the heck is the name? Now, with the memory of that show, nothing more than a faint whisper, I've decided to embark on a quest to find it. So join me as I set out on this journey to the East. Now, the first thing you do when you've lost something is to go back to when you first remembered having it. And so the first step I took was to head directly to the source, my dad. Surely he would remember more about it since he was the one that brought it home. So let's give my parents a call and see what they remember about this show. Hey Mom, hey Dad.
Hello.
Hello.
So, Dad, could you tell me a little bit about how you first came across this show?
Yeah, I was working at the airport in a rental car agency as a sort of fill-in job until I found something I wanted to do. And one of my co-managers at the airport was Vietnamese. And we just happened to get talking back and forth one day, and she happened to mention this series. She had the box set of this series, and she wanted to know if we would be interested in borrowing it so we could watch it. And I said, yeah, absolutely. We'd be more than happy to watch it. Sounds like it'd be great. So that's how I came to get it.
Well, this is already showing how much I don't remember about this. Because I thought you came across this a little bit later when you were working at the Fresh Market.
No. This was while I was still at the airport.
Yeah. Can I preface something here?
Yeah, go for it.
So, because I know people will probably wonder, a Chinese film with that subtitles? Yes. And we have always watched foreign films, foreign shows. Dad and I have always enjoyed them. We affectionately call them Rita movies at home. And we got you guys into that and got you started on that when you were fairly young. So for Dad to say, oh yeah, we'll give that a shot, was nothing out of the ordinary to bring home a foreign film or a foreign show to watch.
So here's my next question. What do you both remember about the plot? Is there anything in particular that you can recall?
I remember the cinematography was absolutely phenomenal. And it was the storyline. I remember the story. I don't remember the actual storyline, but I remember the storyline was very good, very diverse. It was not your usual kung fu series storyline, but it was also not your watered down cookie cutter Hollywood storyline. And it was, it was amazing on that part. And I've slept since then on what the storyline was. But it was, the other thing I remember about it is there were a lot of disc.
Yeah.
There was a lot of disc, and we would watch it. We would try to wait until Dad would get home, but that didn't always happen. But we watched the heck out of it, so much so that I could go into the kitchen, and it was open plan living kitchen, and I can be cooking dinner. But we had watched it so much, we were actually learning Mandarin as we were doing it. So I could follow the storyline when my back was turned to the TV and couldn't see, but I could hear and I knew the actors' voices. And I thought that was pretty amazing to be able to do that after a while.
Dad, what about you? What do you remember about the plot?
Not a lot. The thing I think I remember the most about the whole series was it reminded me of a series that I grew up watching in Australia, which back in the day, I grew up watching a TV show series called Monkey, and it was about the Monkey King and the Monkey King helping Buddha reach wherever Buddha needed to go at that point in time, and he was kind of a protector. But I remember that series and the kung fu action and everything that was so, for me, it kind of reminded me of watching that and growing up, you know, as a young kid in Australia.
I like that. So a plot that we can barely remember remind you of a show that you can also barely remember from when you were growing up. that's that's funny. So what I remember about the show is only a couple of things really. So number one is that there were two family friends, perhaps brothers. They were close in some way, and they were separated when they were children. So one of them grows up in rural Mongolia, and he's raised by Genghis Khan, I think, and he becomes this good-willed, good-natured kid, but he's a little on the dumber side. And then the other family friend or brother, he was raised by the enemy, and he grew up in the city, and he becomes a little bit evil in there. And throughout the series, they both learn different forms of martial arts and get better and better until they have their showdown. And that's really it. That's kind of all I remember. And it's been super frustrating for the past 10 years, especially when you try to go and find it. It's really hard to Google that.
Yeah, and because there's a lot of series put out in China that have very similar.
Yeah, and that was the problem I came across is I couldn't just Google, different TV series where guys try and learn different forms of martial arts.
Separated siblings, one good, one evil.
Yeah, so that's what I tried looking up, and I ended up at a Wikipedia page of all Chinese TV series made from 1983 to the present, and I still couldn't find anything on there. So also, one of the things that I think I remember, or rather misremembered, was that I always thought that the show was older than what it ended up being. Because we watched this, 2010?
Yeah.
And I remember at the time, even then, thinking that it wasn't filmed recently. Like, I thought it was older than what it ended up being.
But I think that was part of the way that Chinese TV is done. Like if you even watching their modern series, it's filmed in such a way that would make you think it's not
Modern.
No, yeah, absolutely. And but last question, what else do you guys remember about the show?
I found it, thinking back on it, because over the time we've all at different points had conversations. What was that show? And we could never remember the name, but the effect it had on everybody that watched it was a good show. We couldn't wait to watch it. And it wasn't because we didn't have cable or anything like that. It was the four of us found a show we enjoyed watching together, and it was a family activity that we did and that we enjoyed, and we could talk about it, and you could just sit quietly and watch this beautiful scenery unfold and the stories unfold within it. And you were picking up on a different language. You were learning to read a movie as well as watch it. So you were, there was just so much to it, and it's just fond memories of the time we had, the 6 months or so that we watched it.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, that's the hallmark of a great TV series or film is when you can keep thinking about it, even if you may not remember the title of it, but you keep thinking about it and you remember, oh yeah, that was a really good film or show.
Yeah, I think probably one of the things which we've talked about a lot, is we always wanted you guys to be multicultural, or have at least a multicultural approach to life, where you view people for people, not through the lens of, oh well, they're got this colored skin or that shaped eye, or you know and so that for me was probably one of the best parts of it. Was it was giving you guys an appreciation for another culture, and another culture's history in a roundabout way. But like even your friends during your college years, and on now, all three of you have a very diverse group of friends. You in particular have friends from South America. You've got friends from all over. Yeah.
And I think by exposing you guys to foreign films, foreign shows, different things, it also gave us the ability to expose you to different religious beliefs that we might not have been able to explain and express to you correctly. You were able to delve into that a bit deeper and see what that was. If it perked your curiosity, you were able to Google it and see and learn a bit more on that. You were exposed to so much more during that time when we weren't traveling to different places, so that you could experience it without having to leave home, essentially, because we weren't traveling at that point. But it's I find even now there are different countries that I will dig through and spend hours on Netflix finding stuff and marking it, because they're the French films are so different, and the Spanish films. When I say Spanish, I mean actual Spaniard, like from Spain. But anyway, so there's there's so much to be learned from that, and I think that series really solidified it for you and Felicity to keep doing that on your own.
No, absolutely. And recently, one of the foreign TV shows that I've really enjoyed watching is a German TV show called Dark,
Oh,
and it's done fantastically. If in case you want to know the plot, it follows three different families, through intersecting timelines, but you're never lost during it, and you can always keep track of who's who. And yeah, there's the option to watch it with subtitled or dubbed over in English, but no, definitely do subs, not dubs.
subs, not dubs.
Yeah, definitely check out Dark. Okay, and before we wrap up here, do we have any final thoughts about this TV show that we're trying to find?
For me, it's one of those that I have such great memories of watching it, and the feeling I had watching it with you guys and all of that I'm almost scared to rewatch it, that it won't hold up to where I have built it in my mind. And I'm like really hesitant to do that, but I don't think that's going to be the case.
I think it's just it's one of those series that hit at a time where we just needed something that we could gravitate towards in order to
Develop a deeper bond.
Yeah, just develop ourselves a little bit further on. And it just happened to be one of those things that came at the right time.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with both of you. I'm myself am a little hesitant to go back and rewatch it in case it doesn't hold up, but like you said, Mom, I don't think that'll be the case. I think it'll still hold up today. But so that's, I think, all the time we have on this call. But thank you so much for helping me try and figure out what this show is and was and what the name of it is. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
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 Well, that wasn't very helpful at all. So where does that leave us? What's the next step? Who can I talk to? Well, there's another member of the family I can talk to that might remember more about it than me. So join us next time as we talk with my sister and inch closer and closer to finding this show again.